Hey guys, it's Doc, and today we're going to talk about panning for fine gold and behavior modifications. So hold on. Hey guys, it's Doc, and today we're going to talk about working for fine gold with the FlowPan, or any pan really, and the behavior modifications that you need to do, and also how the material you're working will also impact that behavior as well too. So very first thing, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, click subscribe because we got 10 videos coming out. When you click the subscribe button, the system notifies you when we put out a new video. That's why I like you to subscribe, so you get notified when our videos come out. All right, so if you don't know anything about the FlowPan, I want you to write down FlowPan.com because that's where you can go to learn more about this. I got all kinds of videos up there. We've done a lot of work with it. Essentially, the FlowPan breaks apart very small. Put it in a backpack, put it under your car seat, 6 wing nuts, put it together in 2 minutes. You got a nice big pan working out. And it's the first pan to actually use this cross-flow technology, where we actually have a fully surrounded side pan that we put cross flows in. And that's really what our patent is based on. It's not just a square pan, but it's a round pan. Any solid side pan that has solid sides all the way around it that has this cross vent technology. You can learn more about that on the website too. All right. This was a tough video to make because I really wanted to do, now I've done videos before where we've taken normal creek bed material, which is extremely easy to work with the FlowPan. Let me make that point. When you're digging in a creek, material that's already sitting in the water, or your working materials have already been creek washed, those materials are very easy to work with the FlowPan. It's very fast. There are 2 types of materials on Earth that are probably the hardest to work. One being black beach sands, and then the other one is raw excavated pay in areas that have 3 primary components: clay, silt, and a real heavy concentration of silicates, because silicates basically are kind of flat and slippery, so when they get wet, it sort of creates a shield, and I'm going to show you that here in a minute with a little demonstration. Most of you out there with the FlowPan are just going to be working creek areas, working wash gravel beds, wherever you're going to do, so it's really easy. But I wanted to show this. I don't recommend it for black beach sands. It's just not a proper piece of equipment for that kind of stuff, but you can work excavated pay with it. It's just a real challenge, and there has to be a behavior modification. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about, if I know I'm working really, really fine gold, and that's the majority of my gold, I need to modify the behavior of the way that I pan. As an example, if I gave you this is the example that I gave these guys. If I gave you a 5-gallon bucket of dirt, and I said that there may be a couple pickers in there, you'd probably pan through it pretty quick. But if I gave you a 5-gallon bucket of dirt and said that bucket had over 100,000 pieces of super fine gold, barely visible to the eye, guess what? You would pan that completely differently. You would change the way that you do things. You would put less material in your pan. You would use less force when you did it, and that's the point we're trying to get across today. So instead of standing here for an hour and talking to you, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to break into the video. I'm just going to throw together a bunch of stuff that we did that day, and I'm going to break into the video and do some points as we go along because it's a little complicated. Just so you know, what I did is I took raw excavated pay, I filled up these buckets, and I seeded in super fine beach gold into it. Really fine flat stuff. We're talking sub 100 mesh gold, typically down to like 200 mesh gold. Really fine stuff. And I seeded almost a 1.5 grams into each one of these buckets. So it was really challenging for them. And these buckets, again, have a ton of clay, a ton of silt, and really challenging stuff for them. Hey guys, so let me show you what we're doing. We're taking these little vials that I've got, which we've seeded this has black beach sand, and we've seeded the gold into here. And then we're putting layer by layer. So Mike, put a little bit of seed of that special sauce on there. Okay, a little more dirt, and then that'll be it for that bucket. Okay, that's good. I want to fill them about 3/4 so they can carry them pretty easy. Put the rest of that on there. So that's why we're seeding this gold in there. Again, it's really hard to get super fine gold to mix into this. We've got this nasty, it's just like garden soil, loam, clays, lots of heavy stuff. There is some river rocks inside of here, but this is excavated pay, and we're seeding this dirt into this excavated pay, and so that's how we're doing it to make it. Now I've made 2 buckets. We're going to make up several buckets. I've made 2 buckets that have the full 3 grams in them, so they're $130 buckets. These have half that gold. So these are going to be about what, $60, $65 buckets, somewhere in there, $70. So that's where we are. That's how we're seeding it in. Okay, so let me try and demonstrate this for you. This is some similar material here. This is excavated pay with a lot of silicates, a lot of clay, and a lot of silt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip that under the water. I'm going to drain the water. I'm going to dip it under the water. I'm going to drain the water. So now my material is wet, right? Well, let's take a closer look. When I cut into it, guess what? It's dry. It's dry. See it? It's just like powder dry under here. So what ends up happening is as you go down layer after layer, this water seals up the clays, the silicates, and the silts, and it prevents the rest of the material from actually getting wet. So the gold can't stratify because at the bottom, because it's not even wet. It's amazing. It's really, this is tough stuff to do here. Same thing. If I go in here, dry down the bottom. It's dry material right there. And that's the reason that this is such a stupid test. But we're going to do it anyways. So one of the first things I needed to do was be a little bit cruel. I needed to teach these guys just how hard this material was, and I wanted to show them just how fine this gold really was. So what we did is we set up panning tubs. We set up 3 panning tubs and let them work 1 bucket of material. At the same time, while they worked this bucket of material, I actually timed them. I wanted to show them how long it would actually take for 3 people to pan 1 bucket of this material. The results kind of even shocked them. If you add it all up, it took almost an hour and a half to get this material worked out and panned. At the same time, we still had losses as well. All right, so we're going on it's 26 minutes and they still have about 2 pans left. So I would say, based on this, you're talking about 1 bucket, took them about, let's say a total, if one person was doing it, about an hour to hour and a half to pan this stupid stuff out. Y'all hate me yet? Y'all hate me yet?
No.
But they're over here bitching and complaining already.
We signed up for
it. It's a pain in the butt. This is what I'm talking about having to do this all by hand, using a pan out there versus using a higher volume. The problem is people are always wondering, well, will it catch fine gold? Yes, it's going to catch fine gold, but where you really use the FlowPan really isn't used for excavated pay. You can use it for excavated pay. But if you're going to go out to a creek panning somewhere, you're typically going to be on a hot spot area. You're going to be on a gravel bed. You're going to be on a hot spot or an area where there's a lot of gold actually located. And so you want to move a lot of that material and catch the majority of the gold plus the fine gold. It's going to be a mix of gold, and that's what we're doing. Is we're going to show them. I'm going to let them go out and use the FlowPan, teach them how to focus on the fine gold, and that way you know you get all the gold in the FlowPan. All right, so one thing I am going to do is I'm going to take one of those tubs and I'm going to run it through my FlowPan, and I'm going to show them that even though they were hand panning, that they were losing fine gold. So I thought that'd be a cool thing to do. So I'm going to take that, the tub basins that they're working, because I know they're losing gold. It's muddy, it's dirty, it's super, super fine. Matter of fact, Sean just said, what did you say to me? I thought I knew what
200 mesh gold look like.
I thought I knew what 200 mesh gold looked like. That's what he said. Now he's starting to learn what it looks like. I mean, it is just absolute powder, 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 powder. So I know for a fact that they've been losing gold in these tailing tubs, and let's go grab one and work one. Turn downstream, agitate, turn upstream, and just agitate. So he didn't do too bad of a job panning. Now these are one of the buckets that has about 1.5 grams of superfine, so that's not too bad there. And that was in his tailings. Alright, so I'm going to do a quick lesson. Number one, the bottom of your mat has the groove, the top of your mat has a little nose. Looks like a duck here. You put it in, push it down. There's a black tab here. That black tab will be at the top. So that's the up creek flow. Flow is going this way. That tab faces up creek. If you put your mat in backwards, just take this tab and move the tab over here. You don't have to turn your mat around. That's just a reminder. Which way is upflow? This way is upflow. Yeah. What you're going to want to do is, when you put your dirt in, come over here and watch what happens to the flow. So if I have dirt inside here, the sides, the solid sides, block the flow and water sort of comes in and swirls around. So when I block it like this, watch the water flow. See what happens? There's nothing, there's no flow exchange. So now I can just agitate, 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 boom. My gold is at the bottom. I really don't have to spin a lot here, I just really have to agitate. And then what I do is I just go to the flow and go like this. Agitate, 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 and stop. Pick my big rocks up. That's pretty much it. So I was really happy with the guys because they learned real quickly. We learned the behavior modification that we needed to do. We needed to put less material inside the FlowPan. We needed to work it a little bit softer and not use as much force or energy when we were clearing out, because we're targeting fine gold and we're using this excavated pay that's just nasty, nasty stuff. Alright, correction time. Let's talk about the corrections. First, I had to make a correction here. The pan, we have the pan about this deep, and I want it deeper in the water. So I want it deeper in the water. Then you just simply turn and just agitate. Now, Cheater over here has a cheater method. So what he does is he lets the creek flow go between his legs. He agitates this way, and then he turns the pan this way. The only thing I see him not doing, which I want to see more of, I think is kind of the most important part, is when you're sideways, you want to get that water
you want to get that water pretty deep in here and just agitate. So you really kind of need that agitation. That's kind of what you're wanting to do. And it's kind of hard to do it the cheater method. One of your problems is that when you come up, you're kind of doing this. And I don't want to see that. I just want to see just agitate and let the flow take care of it. That was the way through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this pan. Pull his mat. And you said you could actually see what? You can actually see gold on it already. But the key way is just bend this mat like this. And it opens up the ripples. You're not going to get 100%, you'll get 99% from it like this. And then you come in, just carefully just rinse. You can see gold in the pan. And what I'm going to do is take a little pan right here. All right, so there's what he got. There's his, that's his 10-15 minute panning from that using the FlowPan on superfine gold. Your reaction is what?
Excellent.
Holy crap. But we're just talking about it, you know, versus using a hand pan and spending hours and hours and hours of this stuff. I mean, you just rifle through it. Now, this is a good example of mining math, too. Because if you think about mining math, the productivity or your pay rate per hour is going to go up tenfold because you're moving more material. Am I capturing 100%? Probably not. Was he capturing 100% in his pan?
No.
Probably not, because we saw that. So, yeah, you're not going to get 100%, but man, again, the mining math factor, especially if you're out somewhere and you're going to have pickers and you're going to have little specks, you're going to have 20 mesh gold, 30 mesh gold, the confidence to know that this thing can catch the fine gold if you use it properly is what I'm really trying to show today. Okay, so here's his. That's pretty cool there, dude. And your reaction is?
Awesome. Amazing.
Oh, holy crap.
Yeah.
Again, the ability to have the confidence to know that if you're catching super fine stuff like that, you're not getting 100%. Let's say you're getting 90% of it. You know for a fact that you're catching all the bigger stuff. If you're catching the majority of that, 90% of that super fine gold, then you know the bigger stuff is not getting out. Hands down. We've proven that time and time again. But today we're only doing fine gold. That's it. Nothing else but fine gold. Ooh, look, there's a couple bigger pieces in it.
Nice.
Ooh, you got like 3 or 4 bigger pieces in there. I mean, we were out there working this actually too slow. I mean, probably about 15 minutes for that for a bucket like that. But what a difference between an hour and a half and this hand panning versus this. Here's his pan. So anyways, Jeff has been out here a couple times with me using the FlowPan. He has that cheater method. And this is a perfect example of, let's say someone said, you can go on my property, the creek bank material is $60 a bucket, it's really rich stuff, and how many buckets do you think you could work with a FlowPan in a day?
In a day.
In a day.
I mean, putting in an 8-hour day, I'd probably say 32 buckets, maybe 25, 30 buckets.
Right.
If you're really going at it.
So you could probably do 2 or 3, maybe even 4. You could do 4 an hour. So probably 25 buckets of material working it versus a hand pan. Forget it. It just wouldn't work if you're dealing with this little fine stuff. So anyways, but he's seen this FlowPan work, but he's never been here when we do that fine test.
Never on the fine.
And it's amazing stuff. So, so he was just saying, I shut off the camera, and what were you just saying?
I was down in the creek thinking, I'm blowing out Doc's gold.
And this he's all got, I'm blowing out all this gold because he knew
Last time I'm invited.
He thinks that he's blowing out all this gold. He comes up here, and guess what? There's probably close to 1.5 grams sitting right in there of fine gold. I mean, it's
Incredible.
it's incredible stuff.
Hey guys, so I hope you learned something from this video, because I know the guys that came out certainly did. They learned about behavior modification and changed the way that you do things a little bit when you're targeting something like superfine gold. Now, Jeff brought up a great point. He really likes the FlowPan because he can actually sit there and see what's happening at the bottom of the pan. Because there's a lot of flow in the pan, all of that dust and silt gets cleared out quickly. Anyways, guys, if you want more information, just go to FlowPan.com. That's FlowPan.com. .GoldHog.